So hello ladies and gentlemen, as you now know, I am Tony, your cruise director here on the beautiful Azamara Club Cruises. Just introducing you to one of our specialty restaurants. This is Aqualina. And now along with Prime Sea, one of our two specialty restaurants located on deck 10 aft. At the very top, at the very back of the vessel, it is a stunning, stunning place. The artwork here is beautiful. The view outside, second to none. And of course, here we have a very extensive menu and a very extensive wine list. As you've maybe seen in the cutaway shots, the wine cellar here is absolutely amazingly well stocked. Incredible wines from the very affordable to the somewhat more extravagant for those maybe special occasions. Now, here in Aqualina, the menu has more of a Mediterranean feel. Prime Sea, our second specialty restaurant, is more of a steakhouse. Aqualina more of a Mediterranean fish kind of feel, but they do a whole range of dishes, main dishes, our entrees, as well as our starters. You can have a starter, a soup or a salad, soup and a salad should you wish, an entree, and wow, the desserts here in Aqualina, the best in the business. They are absolutely perfection on a plate and a perfect way to end your meal. For me, the particular starter that always draws my eye and is done nowhere else in the world quite like it's done here in Aqualina is the goat's cheese souffle. The goat's cheese souffle, it's a rather rich start to an evening, of course, as you would expect with a goat's cheese souffle, but my advice, what I do when I dine here, is try not to eat too much for the rest of the day. Maybe have a hearty breakfast, maybe a very light lunch, but that's it. You will not need to eat from early afternoon all the way through because the food here is just mouth-watering and unbelievable. So my personal choice for the starter would be the goat's cheese souffle. Your choice then of soups or salads, a whole range. Traditional Caesar salad should you wish. Again, my personal favorite, the Cobb salad. Wonderful, a great way to lighten and refresh your palate before your entree. Now entrees here, again, as I said, a Mediterranean feel. So as you can imagine, a whole range of things from the classic Chilean sea bass, one of Azamara Club Cruises' signature dishes, through some duck, lobster, the best lobster. In fact, it's a choice of lobster here, steam broiled, thermidor or lobster pot pie. All of them are beyond belief. So my advice, come maybe once, twice, 3, 4 times in a cruise, try the lot as we have done many, many times. Probably my particular choice here would be the tuna, the seared Mediterranean tuna. Personally, and these things are always a personal choice. If you like your steak rare or very, very well done, your tuna, whether you like it very well cooked or pink, I like my tuna almost raw. Very, very lightly coloured on both sides, but inside perfectly raw, and it is a thing of beauty. It's very fresh, very, very fine, and then a whole range of desserts. All of those are accompanied by this. As elsewhere here on board, you will have your regular 2 complimentary wines every single evening, a choice of red or white wine. And we try here not to get too hung up on the conventions of wine. If you wish to have fish with a red wine, or indeed steak with a white wine, that is of course your choice. We do have every single evening 2 complimentary wines, a red and a white, different every evening, or we have this, our very, very extensive wine list. Now here in our wine cellar, as I said before, there are some very, very affordable wines. My choice for a white wine probably would be Conundrum. Called Conundrum because, well, no one's quite sure what's in it. It is a conundrum what's in the bottle. A mix, a different blend of various white wine grapes, all mixed to give a very individual, very succinct taste in the palate. That, or of course a red, the complimentary reds, or a particular red wine. For me, as you may have heard me say before, my personal choice of red is those very deep, earthy Reforge or Opus 1, that kind of thing, a very thick, earthy wine. However, the complimentary wines here and the lighter wines here in the wine cellar are just astonishing. Astonishing in value and astonishing in quality for a ship. Very, very few ships have as extensive wine cellar as we do here on Azamara Club Cruises. And of course we have here sommeliers. Our sommeliers on board have trained for years for their position. Every single sommelier in the fleet is a graduate of sommelier school, and their extensive wine knowledge is a thing you really should tap. If you want to know what best, my advice would be choose your food first, and then call the sommelier or any of our wine waiters over and ask. Tell him what you're having and ask his or her recommendation, and you will never ever be disappointed. Well, I have chosen what I wish to have. Sit back and relax, because when my food is being prepared, everything here on board is prepared à la minute, prepared just for you. We do have our natural water. You can have still, sparkling, or indeed bottled or specialty water. I like natural sparkling water. For me, that's my particular choice to cleanse my particular palate, while I wait for my waiter to come over and take my order and decide what wine I shall have. We'll be back in a while. For the meantime, from me, Tony, your cruise director, here on Azamara Club Cruises up in Aqualina. Bye for now. So here we are with one of the signature dishes up here in Aqualina, and this is of course the lobster salad. Look at that lobster, a citrus vinaigrette, some segments of grapefruit. A great way, a perfect way, just to really cut through that quite a rich flavour of lobster. Some salad leaves on top and a coleslaw underneath. I can see that I love coleslaw. Handmade, on board. None of this packets or boxes, handmade by our chefs here on board Azamara Club Cruises. And this is almost too good to eat. You, no doubt, ladies and gentlemen, have been to restaurants where they say lobster salad, and it's find the lobster, it's underneath the pea. Look at this, not here. That is a lobster salad. Not just this, lobster. There is lobster all over, of course, with this great coleslaw, and a great way to start. Wow. That slice of grapefruit, whatever you may have had before, that is a perfect way to begin. Just to refresh your palate somewhat for this. This is unbeatable, simply unbeatable. Again, it's not good to speak with your mouth full, we know. However, sometimes words have to be said. This coleslaw, made here on board. Wow. The chefs here do an astonishing job of marrying all these flavours, almost a cultural experience, because you are tasting flavours from around the world. Here, maybe particularly in Aqualina, as opposed to Prime Sea, I think the balance of flavours is more subtle, somewhat more refined than the steaks of Prime Sea. This is a really delicate flavours, and let's face it, everybody loves lobster, and this is as good as it gets. And you may choose to pair this with anything you wish. As I keep saying, don't be hung up by convention. We're not hung up on convention here on Azamara Club Cruises. You can have red, white wine. You can choose our complimentary wines, or indeed wines from our very extensive wine cellar. I've chosen once again one of our complimentary wines. Astonishing value and astonishingly good wines. The feedback we get from you, ladies and gentlemen, about our complimentary wine program here on board, every evening 2 different wines, a different red, a different white every single evening. If you do, for example, really like the Sauvignon Blanc, which is what I have this evening, and then tomorrow happens to be a Pinot Grigio, you prefer this, we don't advertise this, but if you really want it, then ask your wine waiter. All you have to do is to ask. Here on Azamara Club Cruises, we are always happy to say yes to lobster salad with a citrus vinaigrette, some coleslaw and grapefruit, matched by the perfectly chilled Sauvignon Blanc. I say absolutely yes. Cheers. So as I said, ladies and gentlemen, this undoubtedly, actually between the two specialty restaurants, between Prime Sea and here in Aqualina, is my absolute all-time favourite. This is just, words almost fail me. You do not know how good this tastes until you taste it. It looks pretty spectacular. This is one of our signature dishes, along with things like the lobster salad here in Aqualina. This a signature dish here, not just at Azamara Club Cruises, but more particularly here in Aqualina. It is our goat cheese souffle. What can you say? The only way to eat this, a soup spoon, dig in deep. Don't be light, don't try and be polite, dig in, have some of the, the sauce, right, the smell of warm goat's cheese. Wow. It is somewhat heavier than maybe some of the lighter starters you may wish to try, but it's worth it. It really is worth it. It isn't so heavy that it would, destroy your palate for the rest of the evening. I really, words fail me. This is something that we do particularly well here on board. We do everything well here on Azamara Club Cruises, but our signature dishes are things that we are really, well known for. And when you look at reviews of Azamara Club Cruises, reviews of our specialty restaurants, reviews of Aqualina, this and the lobster salad come up again and again and again. You could. Maybe you prefer at the beginning of your meal just to have the water, natural water, beautifully and pure filtered water, both still and sparkling, available here on board. Or indeed, as I'm doing, go with one of our complimentary wines. This is our Sauvignon Blanc, an exceptional match. The dry crispness of a Sauvignon Blanc, perfect with the somewhat heavier feel of goat's cheese souffle. I'm in heaven. You will be too. Cheers. So what better way to end the perfect meal than with, in my particular case, the perfect cheese plate. Some guests, of course, you may wish to go for the more sweet desserts. Don't particularly have a sweet tooth, so I prefer the savoury, certainly the cheeses. And here on board Azamara Club Cruises, wow, we have a beautiful array of cheeses just for you, from the particularly kind of strong flavoured cheeses all the way through to the more mild cheeses. And here on board we have a great array. My personal choice, I think I'll go for a light cheese and a heavy cheese, just to get that contrast of flavours to finish the meal. We have some Pont-l'Évêque cheese. I think I have one piece, watching the waistline, one piece, if you wouldn't mind, of Pont-l'Évêque, and I can see and smell Roquefort. So I think one piece of Pont-l'Évêque, one piece of Roquefort, and a cracker, of course. Thank you. And I just think that's a lovely way to finish a meal with that, still that flavour and that taste in your mouth. Again, you have the choice. Maybe you wish to have a glass of port, a classic end to a meal, a lovely glass of port. And we do have a huge and extensive range of vintage, late bottle vintage, and non-vintage ports on board. Again, from the very, accessible and affordable Fonsecas all the way through to the somewhat more extravagant, if you particularly wish to finish your meal in real style. I've chosen just to stay with the red wine. My Shiraz wine I've had here, it's done me very well for the evening. Thank you very much indeed. Thank you very much, thank you. And always, as everything here, served in absolute style. There are various opinions around the world on how you should eat your cheeses. Do you start with the most flavourful, the Roquefort of course, or the Pont-l'Évêque, the somewhat more mild? Our sommelier here on board, and I'd ask your head waiter, ask your wine waiter, sommelier, or indeed a maitre d', all of them are very experienced. And this evening I was informed their advice would be to start with the more mild cheese on its own. First of all, on its own, then maybe with a cracker, that affects the taste, and then maybe move to the Roquefort on its own, and then maybe with a cracker. And of course we do have a piece of strawberry here just for that cleansing of palate. I'll let you know how it goes. This is the more mild version, Pont-l'Évêque. a slightly smoky feel, quite a rich, soft cheese, very French in style. Then you will try that with a cracker. We have very plain, they don't flavour your meal, they don't flavour your cheese, and of course, the king of cheeses, in my opinion, Roquefort. That is astonishing. Such a complex flavour. This kind of thing does really need a cracker with it. Roquefort, I find, is a very complex cheese in many ways. Not least of all, of course, it complements the rest of your meal. You have a particularly complex mix of flavours here in Aqualina. That is just perfection on a plate. And if you wish, of course, there is that wedge of fruit just to cleanse your palate. Personally, my palate is cleansed beautifully with our complementary wines. My choice for this evening, that lovely deep red peppery Shiraz, Syrah in some parts of the world. This has been Aqualina. I'm Tony, your cruise director here on Azamara Club Cruises. Do try Aqualina. Try Prime C, try Aqualina, our two specialty restaurants, both situated on deck 10 aft here on board. You will not be disappointed. For the meantime, cheers.